It's you're able to see the presentation, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
It's fine.
So this is part of the structural engineering series lecture, 9th lecture as informed earlier. And for me, it is the second one. Thanks to the organizers for giving me this opportunity. And today's topic is planning, design, and of precast concrete buildings, particularly. So I had the opportunity to work on precast buildings to the tune of 2 million to 3 million square feet in the last 5-6 years, particularly. And earlier I had the opportunity to work in projects in US, as outsourced about 12 projects we did in US. So I'll be sharing that experience today. The overview of my topic, is introduction to precast concrete construction in India. And I'll share a little bit of precast technologies that are available in India and elements that we can consider in design and structural systems in precast construction, analysis, a little focus on analysis, and element and joint design. Please understand here, I'm not going to share the formulas or method of design, get into the design particular, but I'll give the concept of the overall design because all of us are engineers and structural engineers particularly. I presume that it's only the concept, how it differs from traditional reinforced concrete design only, I'll explain. And then a special focus on storage, transport and erection loads, the stresses that we have to verify, and general precast that is available for buildings, particularly in residential, commercial, and warehouse segments. So this is already, most of us know what is a precast. It's a construction product, basically, produced by casting concrete in reusable molds. Normally, we use the formwork, but in precast, we use the molds in the form in shape of a mold, like, and then in a controlled environment. In fact, we all know the genesis of precast was in cold countries where you have limited window of being able to make proper concrete, and so they had to do this controlled environment. It all started in the northern hemisphere first, and slowly it spread everywhere. And another great advantage in pre-engineering is pre-engineering. And in pre-engineering, compared to steel, concrete gained more importance in, particularly in the United States, because of its fire resistance, basically fire rating, I would say, better fire rating. So that's why precast has gained a lot of importance in the last 6 decades, I would say. And in India also, we have had precast in the last 5 decades, but somehow in the initial stages, because of our restricted economy, it could not spread faster. But in the last 3 decades, thanks to opening up of our economy, and we are able to get access to all the equipment, and also we are able to design the precast, and many leading companies in the world are focusing on India now because of the potential in the market. So in short, the proposed structure, we can break it down into parts like what we see here, elements, whether it is walls, whether it is beams, columns, or roof slab, and many parts, including the foundations. It is a possible thing now. And the advantage of precast we can see in the comparative pictures here. And it's an industrialized product now. And so the quality we can see, and also the safety, you can see how precariously people are working here. And same way, the condition of the site and number of activities in conventional construction versus the simple erection process. A 1 lakh square feet of building can be done in a span of 1 month itself. That is the possibility in precast. So we can save huge time, estimated to be about 55% compared to conventional technique. And the dimensional accuracy, as we all know, the tolerances in precast can be as low as 1 to 2 mm, and a perfect finish in concrete and permanent finish. That's why we say permanent is, we all know that in the conventional construction, we go for rendering plaster, cement plaster, and or stucco and all that. Whereas in precast, we can do the finish with concrete itself. We can do acid etching, we can do textures, and you can see the here. So it is a permanent finish that we can achieve, and durability also can be enhanced because of the quality of the concrete in the controlled environment. So we say it is eco-friendly also because of the minimizing the wastage. You can see here the picture, I have put the comparison and how the precast site looks and how a conventional site looks. And it is lesser labor dependence, particularly in the current scenario. We all know we are passing through the toughest times for construction. They simply think that night curfew is okay, but for construction, night curfew is the biggest challenge. We have sites in Hyderabad where we are allowed to do concreting only in the night, and excavated material we can dispose only in the night. And if you have night curfew, imagine how we can handle the construction sites. So it is with this kind of technology, precast, we can handle this kind of challenges and risks very easily. That is the advantage in precast because of the lesser time of window that is required for executing the precast construction. So now let us come to the quickly methods of implementation, the production technologies that are available. I'm sorry, I'll not allow annotations. Please don't send requests. It will be disturbing me. So no annotation, please. Towards the end of the session, you can ask questions, or you can put your questions in the chat box, or suggestions also. So production technology, the phases of production and the products. Now there are a lot of technologies available in precast itself. Like earlier, there used to be only column, beam, and slab. Now, the way we produce walls also, there are so many different technologies. Like we have the flatbed production of wall, we have the tilting bed production of walls, we have the battery mold, and we have the carousel battery mold. And now we have reached the next level. We have even got the modular precast. That means a flat I can construct with just two parts actually. So that is the advanced stage we are in. And in India, we have all these technologies available now. We can do and already implemented in India. So it is very good, very important for all of us to get updated on these technologies, which I'll be sharing as we move forward. And the transportation and erection of products. The biggest restriction or constraint that we have in precast is the approach, access to the site for transportation of the products. So, for example, some people ask me, I have a 20 feet road access to my site, can I do precast? That is a difficult thing actually, because even for the trailer to turn around and reach the site is difficult, and also to install the crane, and also you will have the electrical cables and all. So you have to study the site very carefully for erection, planning, erection and transport before deciding whether to go for precast or not. But larger projects, it is always easy and it is possible. I'll be sharing the photographs as we move forward. So the products we have readily in most of the precast companies are columns, light wall panels. Light wall panels means basically for the partitions. We are doing a hospital project where we are doing all partitions in light wall only. Though it's a conventional building existing, we can do these light wall panels. They are called Robomatic panels, and so it's a hollow core basically. You'll have the thickness of 75 mm and very lightweight and acoustic and thermal insulation that is possible. And then light wall panels, structural wall panels. This we all know, shear walls, which is very much essential nowadays for high-rise building. And or even normal buildings also we can use the structural wall panel, because we can avoid all the masonries and plastering and all. Double T's for large spans, single T's, and for particularly multi-level car parks, double T's will be very advantageous. And inverted T's, which are used for giving a flush surface and supporting these slabs and double T's. And we have the hollow cores and solid flat slab panels. That is possible. Hollow core is a very advantageous thing in precast particularly. And the spandrels. Somebody has put a message, is not able to hear too. I hope I'm audible. Can anybody confirm I'm audible?
Yeah, you're audible, Surya Prakash.
Now somebody has put a message in the chat box that he is not able to hear. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I'll continue. The spandrels, which are very useful for the end beams, and it is ledged beams, because for the elevation. I'll show the pictures, you'll understand better. And rectangular beams and stairs. These are the very important products, because stairs, particularly in UK, for example, in London, they used to use just for the slab-on-grade planks and stairs only precast. Rest is conventional. Even that is possible actually. So we can do the mix and match of this precast and cast in situ in the projects. So with this basic inputs, so this is the multi-level car park you can see. And here you can see the spandrels. These are the spandrels and a structural wall panel for the elevators. And then you have the columns with corbels. And then you have the double T's. Double T, you can span up to 60 feet, 18 meters. You can have double T with the very least reinforcement and less concrete thickness. And other structures, like we can even do the portals and the water tanks, all it is possible to have the precast. And here also you can see even the U-shaped beams and channel type beams, and we can have the double T's here. You can see the double T. These are all the other types of structures. And residential, you can have the walls precast and slabs precast, and wall and slab system, simple without any beams, even in the residential. And these are all some of the precast elements with the cast in situ joint. It's a kind of hybrid jointing system. So you can have this also. And this is the battery mold, which I was talking about. The difference between flatbed and the battery mold is, in battery mold, you can have the double surface form finish actually. That means for the wall, both sides you will have form finish. So if it is a flat bed, you have the trowel finish on one side, and one side you will have the form finish. So that is the advantage of the battery mold. You need not worry about the finish on both the sides. So this is in Hyderabad only. This plant was set up in Hyderabad for a particular project, residential project particularly. So in Bangalore, in Peenya, the project was done by Tata Group for Tata Housing for using the same battery mold in carousel. That means it is a mechanized production, 3 million square feet completed in 30 months for 30 floors. That kind of speeds are possible only with this technology. So next we have this hollow core, two types. We have hollow core that can be extruded and hollow core that can be slip formed. So I'm just giving introduction of various technologies. And even the circular columns and spun concrete. This is a spun concrete circular column. This is a part of our R&D in one of my clients' project, where we did the precast of rectangular beams, and with circular column, we did the hollow core bed also. So now getting into the actual topic, because we need to have the understanding of the present state of technology availability in India. I just gave the introduction. And now, when we get into the planning and design, the design intent we have to get from the client, functional requirements, and whether it is a fire rating and all that, and then prepare the design basis. Basically, in the design basis, the Indian standards 15926 is the code that is available now for precast, and we have a ICI handbook that is available. Any code of practice will from the manuals and handbooks. So ICI has initiated this handbook, and it covers all the aspects of precast. So we can get access to that and keep improving our fraternity. And PCI, ACI and PCI, Precast Concrete Institute in the United States, it is a very good document and very useful for understanding the concepts of precast. So we can refer to, I will be sharing some of the information of all this today in the design. Yeah, you can search for these things, you will get on the web, all these things. And loading, basically loading, there is not much of difference. Only thing is, if Bureau of Indian Standards can incorporate uncertainties, in precast, we can reduce the dead load overload factor, partial safety factor for the dead load, because the tolerance for the precast is very less, and we can achieve the lower partial safety factor for dead loads. And geometry also, due to the geometry. See, in our conventional construction, we have columns, verticality and level of the slab, slab thickness, column dimension. All we have very liberal tolerances actually. Whereas in precast, we have very stringent tolerance. So probably we can, as we move forward, that will be a possibility in future. With precast, we can have lesser partial safety factor. And the structural systems, in particularly, we can go for the same structural system like slab and beam with columns. And another next level is we can go for structural wall panels for high-rise buildings with the slab without beams. Only thing is, whatever structural system, whatever elements we consider, the size of elements and jointing method, we have to consider transportation, handling, capacity of the cranes, and the feasibility of installing the cranes on the site. So when compared to conventional construction, the design per se is to be considered in the holistic manner, considering the transportation, handling, joints, everything. And in the design methodology, we have to work from general arrangement drawings, that is basic plans of the building, and then we have to create the erection plans. Erection plans means we break the structure into elements, and assemblage of the elements we prepare. And from the erection plan, we prepare the shop drawings. That is for production of the concrete element. Sometimes this job is done by the precaster himself. A structural engineer need not do. But erection plans have to be given by the structural engineer, because considering the tolerances and size of elements and type of joints, we have to define. Like in steel, we used to do GA drawings in steel, and we used to do the fabrication drawing and erection drawings in steel. Same way in concrete also we have to do this. And next, we have to also consider the method of stripping, how you are going to demold. That is, normally we are all aware in infrastructure, bridges and all. This is the biggest challenge actually in precast particularly, the stripping method, because we want to strip early, and we want to handle the elements within 8 hours. So we have to achieve the allowable M15 grade, M20 grade kind of concrete within 8 hours. And steam curing and curing methods, heating heads are also available. And stacking of this after stripping, handling and stacking, transport and erection. So this is the process, as we all know, in the precast. So we have to consider all these things which I'll be sharing with you as we move forward in the drawings, how we have to design for these handling stresses. Next, analysis. In analysis, the additional things compared to conventional method is construction loads and erection loads. So we have to consider the method of construction and method of erection. These also we will show in the drawings, and we will consider in the design of the elements itself, these erection loads and construction loads. In addition, compared to conventional analysis, we have to consider the robustness, because in precast we have a number of joints. Though in conventional also we have the in situ joint, in precast they are more prominent because the rest of the structure is very set, and we are forming the joints at the side. So we have to consider the critical element failing and then consider the stability of the structure. Because you all must be knowing in Gujarat, in precast, in fact, precast lost its steam or the speed because of 1-2 accidents that happened, particularly in Gujarat post-earthquake. A number of school buildings have collapsed, which are done in precast. So that is where this robustness comes into play. So we have to consider failure of 1-2 critical elements and still show the stability of the structure. So robustness analysis is very important. Even in pre-engineered buildings, this is a very important factor actually, the stability of the structure when a critical element fails. Next is the element design. Element design, we only have 2 things. In fact, we have reinforced concrete elements, we have pre-stressed elements, and we have combination also, reinforcement and pre-stressing. So that won't change much when compared to this. But joint design, we have to consider all the stresses in the joint and design separately the joint. In the normal, our conventional RCC design, we extend the reinforcement and we follow the SP34, that's good enough. But in precast, we have to consider different methods of jointing, which I'll be sharing as we move forward. So stringent quality is very important. So the quality norms, we have to go to the next level when we do in precast particularly. And the reduced tolerances and reduced partial safety factor. This we have to work for as a fraternity as we move forward. That is when we have the advantage of going for precast because of the stringent quality and reduced tolerances. So I'll just show you some of these elements which I'm talking about, the detailing, the level of detailing that we do. This is a column drawing. As you all can see, this is the reinforcement and all these joints. For joints, whatever inserts that we give the details. So this is a typical shop drawing, and this is the base plate with the erection bolts that you can see here. And this is the base plate orientation and erection bolts, and the corbels for the shear connectors or anchor rods. You can see here. And here, this is what I was talking about, stripping method. I'm defining the method of stripping here for the column, and this is the stacking. You can see one or the other will be stacking these columns, and then transportation and lifting and erection. So here you can see the hinge that is shown here. That means we'll be lifting. So this is a simple drawing, but we have to make these drawings like this for all conditions of the handling and erection. So this is the reinforcement detailing. We almost do the drawings in 1:1 to check the reinforcement because it will go into the mass production. So we give the drawings sometimes even in 1:1, which we do in steel also. You all must be knowing for fabrication. So these are the cross sections and base plate details of this column. And this is a double T drawing. You can see there is almost no reinforcement, very less, and this is the pre-stressing strands actually. So this will be a double T. The thickness of the web is almost like 3 inches, 2 inches kind of thickness of the web. And here we'll have the screed over, so we'll have 2 inches only the slab. So it acts as the shuttering also. And after screed reinforcement, and we go for screed particularly for diaphragm action. We don't want to depend on the joints alone for the diaphragm action. We all know for earthquake resistance, diaphragm action is very important. So whether it is double T's or hollow core or solid wall panels, we go for in situ screed with the reinforcement in all the precast things. So that it will also help when we do in situ screed for embedded conduits, electrical or communication cables and all that. So this is the you can see the double T edges and detailing, all the edge reinforcement, the shear concentration, and all that. You can see bearing also capacity. So these are all the detailing that we do for the double T. And here you can see an interesting, even a portal can be precast completely. So if you have the transportation facility or this one, and for that portal, you can see this is the stripping and this is the stacking and this is the lifting and erection. So these are the drawing. In fact, for this drawing indicates that we have checked for these conditions, the stresses in the elements. And this is the column base plate with the erection bolt provision, and then we grout it. So this is the typical portal frame. And hollow core. This is a hollow core. Again, hollow core is an extruded thing mostly, and it's completely pre-stressed with no reinforcement, because extrusion, when you do, you can't have the reinforcement in the panel. But in the panel, we provide the pre-required openings and all. It will be cut in the factory openings, and then our embedded parts also will add in the factory itself and then supply to the site. So this is an inverted T-beam, another type of element. And if you see the cross section, this is the inverted T. So this is the reinforcement detailing. For inverted T also the same stripping, stacking, and storage. And this is a structural wall panel, the solid wall panel. You can see these corbels are given for beam supports or the slab resting. And then it is all detailed with the reinforcement and all that. So here it's a spandrel. Next element is a spandrel. I'm just giving some examples so that we all are clear. And these are the lifting hooks, loops actually. Lifting loops are provided here for the spandrel. And the spandrel position of the loops are designed so that the center of gravity is matched and no toppling while doing direction or handling happens actually. And this is the stair. So you can see the stairs are cast with the steps in the downward position, form side, steps in the form side, and then trowel finish is in the soffit side. So you can see here the stripping, stacking, handling things we have provided here in the drawing itself. So this design is same as what we do, except that we have the joints for the end connections. So that we'll consider, and detailing also for the reinforcement in the stair will be same as what we follow in the reinforced concrete. So now let us look at the structural systems in the precast. So we normally in industries we have these mezzanine floors, and you can have the mezzanine floor and roof like this. So industrial buildings also we can go for this precast up to 18-meter span. And we have these low and high-rise buildings up to 30 stories with the same column and beam system. Only thing is the column verticality, you can see there are no joints. We can cast up to 12 meters. That means 4 floors you can have the single column. And beams and then slabs are erected with this. And high-rise buildings, normally we go for the shear walls, and then the shear core will be there with the structural wall panels, and use the light wall panels for the partitions. And this is the portal frame system and skeletal structures like same column and beam with the partition walls. And facades also you can have precast very interesting designs. I remember in Pune for Infosys parking garage, they have won many awards because of the precast facade for a parking garage, multi-level car park. And wall frame structures, that means wall and slab basically. It's a beautiful system because slab has got the beautiful rigidity for diaphragm action and the shear walls. Wall and slab system is quite possible in precast for high-rise building. So here you can see complete, even you can have the sandwich facades to reduce the heat ingress into the buildings, which is a green requirement to reduce the air conditioning loads. And then load-bearing cross walls also you can design, and central core with concrete and hollow core floors and stairs and sandwich facades. So a complete building can be designed to be precast, and we can use the same ETABS for analysis for wall and slab system. Only thing is the joint forces that we get, we should be taking for design of the joints, separate system, which I'll be sharing as we move towards the end about the joint design. And portal frames, like what we do, you can see this I-shaped girders, because anything beyond 18-meter span, it is better to go for I-shaped girders, and which we have designed also. I'll share one design in that. And these are the industrial sheds with the concrete, and it is like same steel we can do in concrete also. Web openings and all that for the service ducts and all. So here you can see this is the inverted T, and this is a double T. This is a project in US which we did, and you can see these are all the dry joints with the steel plates, and they're all welded joints. Unlike Europe and Middle East and India also, we have the wet joints. That means in situ joints, whereas in US, because of the availability of these systems, very high strength plates and anchors that are available in the US, hardware basically. In India also they are available, but the cost is very high compared to our wet joint system. So in India, we follow wet joints only, but here you can see the dry joints, welded joints. And next is the Wafflecrete panels. Also we have the vendors. It is one of the type of precasting that can be done for low cost construction. And these are some of the data given by vendors to me. I'm sharing. Here you can see this is a waffle construction, and waffle walls and waffle slabs. It will all be lightweight. Further, the concrete requirement is reduced per square meter. So this is the waffle wall being handled. So this is another type of system, like mullion system. You know, we designed in Latur post earthquake in conventional construction masonry wall with the mullions and bands. So same way here you can see the bands, and these are the mullions and infill waffle. So this is a waffle system. And next, let us go into the design. So this is what I was telling. Our 15916 2020, the latest revised code, and this is the first revision. Earlier, it is to great extent that they have modified. I hope I'll be able to get this link. Yeah. Can you see the code, sir, or should I change the screen? Can anybody?
It's visible.
Code is visible?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, thank you. So I'm not sure about this software. Okay.
If it is not visible for others, you can just mention in the chat box. For me, it is visible.
Oh, yeah. So this is the building design and direction using prefabricated concrete, our Indian standard. Because this was a challenge for us earlier, prior to this code, when we went for approvals, the peer review institutes and people used to say, we don't have code, so how can we check? Thanks to our Bureau of Indian Standards, now we have this code. You all can get the access to this code, and you can see all types of different types of joints are mentioned in this code, how to design and stress calculations and all that. It is given in the code, so you can refer to this. Here you can see the in situ joint between the solid wall slab panel and the beam, how the joint has to be designed. It's all given in the code. So please refer to this code, and it is available online in BIS. So just I wanted to share how it is updated actually. It's a very good information and support we have through this code for the design of all the elements. At least the regular structures that we design, we can access to this. So here also you can see the continuity of the column, beam and joint, and this is the splice joint between the columns. So this is about the design as per Indian standards, all this code. I'm not going very deep into it, but how do we close? Yeah.
Surya Prakash,
Yeah.
we are just able to see the front page of the code.
Oh,
You're
sorry,
referring to
sorry.
joints and all. We are not able to see anything inside that.
Sorry. Yeah, I thought anyway. Then I'll do one thing. I'll close this. Okay. I have to stop share, I think. Yeah. How to share? How do we stop share? Stop sharing, and then I have to go to the again share. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I have. That's why I had doubt. That's why. Yeah. Share. Yeah. Now can you see? This is the. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So sorry for
Yeah.
the confusion, because you confirmed. I thought you are all seeing this. Anyway, I'll just explain again. This is the IS 15916. So you can see all the details about the joints and design coefficients and all are given. So here you can see the slab and beam joint. And this is the slab, precast slab with the in situ concrete for diaphragm action, which I was explaining, and the shear connectors, like a deck slab. What we do, this is in concrete actually, with the lattice system. And so you have these column beam joints and column to column joints. This is the beam and slab joint. You can see the design in IS code. It is given, and the columns to column. I'll just show you. I'm just showing all the pages so that you'll have an idea. It's a comprehensive code, I would say. I'm sure it requires further development, but it's much better than earlier condition. So this is the joint between the columns. And so all the types of joints are given for in situ. This is the 4 beams joint junction. You can see, and this is the beam to beam junction, and this is the column to column junction. All the joints and splices details are given in this code, so you can use this for the design of precast frame members. And next I'll stop sharing this, and let us go into this. Yeah. Yeah. Now you're getting the PPT. No? Yeah. So next is the ICA handbook. I'll just show you the contents of this handbook also. I think again now I have to stop the previous one. You're not getting this handbook?
Only the car page.
Yeah.
What is the writing?
Yeah. I'll again do the same thing. Stop share and open that. Okay. Share. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this is the ICA handbook. It has got almost like 13 chapters. I'm not opening the entire every chapter, but this is the ICA handbook. This is a compilation of all experts in our country. They formed a committee and drafted this handbook for giving information on the standards for precast concrete design. And so L&T, our Ramakrishna sir, late Ramakrishna sir was the chairing this committee, and they drafted this, and it will be very useful. The projects done in India with in precast and the future projects also, it will be very useful guide for the transportation, erection, design aspects of all these precast elements. So I'm just opening all the possibilities for you so that you can access to these books. And so this is the precast projects done, and they have shared the information in this. So next important is the PCI manual. This is a US, it gives, I think for PCI I covered in the presentation itself. Okay. So now this is the extract of PCI, some of the tables, design tables for the hollow core, and this is double T panels, the design tables, and the charts for the design. It's not my intention to explain the methodology, but I'm just showing various thicknesses of hollow core and what are the load capabilities. You'll also get these things from the vendors actually. Whoever, because different technologies will have different things. So you should ask from the vendor these capacity charts and tables, and use them for the design in the overall element design for the columns, beams, and these hollow core panels. So these are the design charts, interaction curves, and columns for reinforced concrete and double T's, pre-top double T's, and this is the different designations of different vendors. This is given in PCI manual, and this is the inverted T-beams, depending on the designations, different designations you can see. And this is the, so they will give the section properties and capacity. This is the load span capabilities of these beams depending on the load that is given. So you can decide and design these inverted T's. So the next important is, as a designers, we should also understand the method of casting. So this is the inverted T-beam, for example. You can see the casting with the form in place, and it's a casting bed. And these are the wall panels with the lifting hooks, you can see. These are all made as per the drawings that we give. And this is the lifting hook details. And the stacking of this inverted T, you can see the end support position and lifting hooks that are there for these inverted T beams. These are the wall panels, handling on the yard for stacking and lifting, and the sequencing. In fact, when we go into the precast, because of the standardization, the design is a little bit simplified, but the engineering is a lot actually. The sequence of casting, sequence of stacking, transportation, erection, we must definitely use the software like Tekla for scheduling this whole process. Otherwise, it will go into the chaos. So this is the panels for erection, transportation of the panels, and this is erection in one of the sites which I visited during construction and erection. So this is a 1 lakh square feet. You can see these steel plates. This is for dry joints, and this is the joint between the panels, the double T's. This is also a steel plate actually. We do the welding between the, so instead of concrete on site, we do the welding, and this is the joints. Then this is a multi-level car park. You can see the double T's, and this is the spandrel, the finish and quality that can be achieved. This is a wall panel tables, table mold actually, and it's a tilting table you can see. And so one side will be trowel finish, and one side will be the form finish. And the tilting tables, now it is very much prevalent in India, very cost effective and even sometimes economical to go for this wall panels depending on the time schedule that we have. So this is the transportation of the wall panels, and this is the erection of the wall panels. So this is completely indigenized method, you can see. And erection, we use the temporary supports for the walls. So in casting, we have to give the provision for these strut supports, in both the base slab and the wall panels. So you can see this is the erection sequence, and this is the slab form. Like I have shown you, you can have the latticed concrete panels for casting the in situ concrete for diaphragm action, considering the precast panel as the form itself. And the staircases we can use, and the wall panels, multiple wall panels. And then we have this column and beam, the junction, the jointing, different jointing methods for the columns you can have in situ concrete, pedestal that is. And here the wall panel casting, we provide all the grout tubes for the jointing with the cable, and then electrical conduits and all pre-designed electrical boxes we keep and then cast the wall panels. And this is the hollow core panel, you can see hollow core erection. And this is the erection of this. And aesthetic finishes, you can see this, whatever design we want, we can make it like various window designs and arches, anything. I'm doing a project, actually, I'm not showing that picture. One Pathsala, Gurukula Pathsala, 1 lakh square feet, we are doing completely in precast with brick finish, actually. It looks like exposed brick, actually. So that also is called liner panels we can use and give the concrete, exposed concrete finish with protective coatings and completely permanent finish that is possible. And these are the wall panels and foundations, strip foundations we get when we have these wall panels. And this is the plinth wall cast in situ, and then we have the dowels for the wall panels next to be erected. And this is the joint to be designed. And so you can see this is, we have erected the we have done the slab on grade concrete and then ready for erection here, wall panels and slab panels. So this is the photographs of actual site in progress, actually. The advantage that we had was we completed 11-storied 4 towers in 4 months, actually, finished residential buildings. So that is the advantage of this. We lost some time because of the handing over of the site and all. Out of 37 towers, last 4 towers we completed in 4 months. So that is the advantage of this precast. And you can have these walls. This is the modular thing. Lift well and all, you can cast like this also, U-shaped panels. These are all the wall panels. And so this is the transportation of the wall panels. And even Sajja, you can cast, precast itself, you can see here. And this is the erection in progress, wall panels. And so this is the strip footing precast also for the, so even foundations, sometimes you can do the precast. So planning, when we start, we have to decide what all we want to do the precast. Here, for example, we decided we do only the main walls precast, and this we'll do casting masonry walls in situ. Or you can use the light wall panel. Depending on time available, we can do that. We did that planning. So this is the development of this. So here you can see these are all shear walls. And here we don't have the wall. We'll do the masonry. So in one direction, we have this thing. Cost of construction, somebody is asking. In fact, we could do at the same cost. I'll share the details as we move forward. So this is the development of the plans. And we decided in some cases, even considering 16700 code, we have to have the stiffness, continuity and uniformity, that also symmetry in the structure to avoid participation, less participation factor and all that. So we have managed all that, and we could develop the precast framing that will have the uniform stiffness. And so this is the mass housing project that we have planned, and aesthetic considerations are very much possible. Any elevation you can give, any finish you can give in the concrete, and planning consideration also. Here you can see. Oh, sorry, sir. My voice is breaking, it seems. I'll try to not move, then it not break. Yeah, sometimes we increase the span to make it economical. Here you can see I could have broken this span, but hollow core, it is very cost effective if you have the spans above 6 meters actually. So what we do is, instead of reducing the span, we'll use the larger span, have the partition walls on the hollow core. That will be economical in terms of timelines actually. So we have done that also. So, and architectural finishes and facades, you can see this is the texture finish and this is the stone finish, glass finish, all types of finishes we can achieve in the facades, aesthetic considerations. So this is the project I am talking about, which we did in Hyderabad. About 4,000 dwelling units to be completed in 12 months at a cost of 1,280 rupees. So as a part of risk mitigation in delivering this project, we adopted conventional and shear wall Maiwan, aluminum formwork and precast. So out of 37, 14 towers we did in precast, 15 towers we did in conventional, and 8 towers in Maiwan. And we achieved the project, my client, in the same project we used 3 technologies, and precast definitely helped us, and we could achieve within the cost projected. So this is the photographs of that site. This is after finishing, it is very difficult to make out which tower is done. So this is the precast. You can see the stiff foundation and wall panels being erected. And on the other side, we are doing the conventional construction here, you can see. But at the end, we finished precast much ahead of conventional with lesser effort actually. So this is the wall and slab. Here what we did is, we increased the span for, this is the hollow core you can see. This is the corridor, and we have increased the span of the, each unit we used as one span, 7 meter span, and put the hollow core panels, and 2 units we had one box like, and we completed this thing. So this is the precast, you can see this is the conventional on the other side. So precast and conventional in the same site. So we have completed. So infrastructure, this is a metro rail project we did in Gurgaon, where we used this I sections precast, and we did the in situ concrete for diaphragm action, and this is the concourse and all 2 levels also we did the viaduct portion, and this is cast in situ, and we did the precast for the concourse. So this is all the design development that we did for this I shape, with all the openings required for, and we also did a flatted industry in precast in Vijayawada recently, and office buildings. So low dependency on labor, low maintenance costs, wastages are greatly reduced, and weatherproof thermal efficiency, and rust-proof, rot-proof, fungus-proof, and inedible to termites and rodents, and rapid erection. And durability and environmental friendly, intelligent products, and uses from other industries, leach-free, and water tightness and dampness vibration. So these are all the advantages. You can see the finish, how you can achieve the great finish. And we have this equipment available in India now, and various machine options for casting and precast concrete. This is the plant, and this is the casting yard set up for the project. And right now we are planning 2-3 large scale 25,000 houses to be delivered in 30 months and 15,000 houses to be delivered in 12 months. This kind of projects are possible in precast only. And the batching plant we set up like any other project. Only mixed design, we have to cater to this for quick setting and delayed initial setting and quick strength achieving within 8 hours and all. So these are the molds being done and reinforcement and tying, placement and all that, and then concreting and finishing, stripping and handling. And now coming to these joints, precast connection, as I said, beam to roof joint and roof to beam joint, roof beam to column joint, and floor beam to floor beam joint, and then beam to column and foundation final. So these are all the joints now we'll be talking about. The design of these joints, pocket foundations, and the projecting reinforcement and cast in situ joint. These are all the and bolted joints. This is what I've shown in the drawing also. You can put the erection bolt and then grout it later. So these are all the column to column joint and mortar. This is a non-shrink grout tube. We grout with non-shrink grout. So it is like life of cement, same as life of cement, or even more for these non-shrink grouts. And so column to beam joints, here you can see the shear connector, bolt, and then in situ concrete. So to get the rigid action. So we will have the in situ concrete joint between column to column, beam to column, and beam to slab. So all these joints, we can detail and design these joints. Hidden corbels. This is another method where we give the stepped beam and it looks like a rectangular beam after the finish. So you can give the corbel which will merge with the beam, with the stepped beam. And finally, the different types of joints like T-junction for the walls and L junction for the walls. And these are all the, and plinth wall to wall erected above. And these are the corbels and joints. This is the joints between the slab and wall and grade slab. And then we have the slab, cast in situ, and walls precast. So this is the different types of joints which we can design. Because I wanted to cover the overall aspects. When we say design, it's not like conventional design that we do. You do the analysis and design the sections for the column, beams, and slabs alone. Here we have to consider the casting, we have to consider the stripping, we have to consider the stacking, handling, erection, transportation. All aspects come into the design. And also here we are taking out the finishes which normally are done at site, rendering or plaster, and then painting and all. You can eliminate all that and do in the factory itself the finish. In fact, I'm doing one project like that, prefabricated completely, including flooring we are trying to incorporate in the precast itself. And so just to move the whole module and erect one over the other. This concept is also possible now. And we have the vendors in India. Some projects are done, partially finished earlier. Now we are targeting to do complete finish before erection. Only erect the door shutters and window shutters and fixtures at the site. That's it. So in situ, we minimize the activity to reduce the risk of safety and labor problems. So this is the thing. So now I'll try to conclude my talk and give more time for discussion so that there can be